There's a video on YouTube called Model Making for Beginners. It's a 49-minute guide to building your first scale model. It's one guy sat at a desk with a £9 Airfix model Spitfire kit. He opens the video with something along the lines of,
"So if you're new to modelling and want a little bit more guidance on products and a few basic processes, this video might be the one for you."
And then he spends the next 49 minutes walking you through every single step. Tools, paints, glues, techniques, and that video has 1.1 million views. What's interesting though is that Airfix, the producer of the kit, didn't make this video. A creator called The Inner Nerd made the video, using an Airfix product. And that single video has generated roughly the same views as 10% of everything Airfix has uploaded to their own YouTube channel across 17 years and 1,000 videos. Now, I grew up building these Airfix kits. My dad got me into them when I was younger, and I've been a fan of the brand for years. So when I noticed that there was a gap between Airfix's own channel and what creators were doing with Airfix products, I had to dig in. So, using the tools that we've been building at Humble&Brag, I pulled the data on every single one of their videos on their YouTube channel through the YouTube API. I analysed over 270 of their transcripts, I scraped their community tab, I pulled up search performance from Ahrefs and vidIQ, and I benchmarked all of this against 6 other channels in the same niche. And what I found really surprised me. Everything I'm about to walk you through in this video is also written up in a full audit and content strategy proposal for the Airfix team, linked in the description below. And before we get into it all, hi, my name's Callum, and over the last 8 years, I've scaled 2 brand channels to 6-figure audiences as the YouTube lead at both AJ and Smart and Career Foundry. I now run a YouTube agency in Berlin called Humble&Brag, alongside my co-founder Ed, helping brands turn YouTube into an organic growth engine. This series, Brand Channel Breakdowns, is where I analyse real brand channels, using a framework that we use every day with our clients. It's called the 5 C's, and it covers concept, consistency, craft, conversion, and character. Each one of these gets the letter grade from S through to E, and at the end of every section you'll see exactly where the Airfix channel lands and why. Then at the end of this video, we'll bring all 5 grades together into the full scorecard. And hit subscribe if you want to learn the kind of tactics that we use to scale brand channels for a living as an agency. Now, before we get into the channel audit itself, here's what I want you to keep in mind throughout the video. This is a story about a channel that's just a couple of strategic shifts away from being one of the best brand channels in this niche on YouTube. Some of the grades that you're going to see won't be particularly glowing, and there is stuff to fix, but there's also a really strong foundation here that most brand channels would genuinely envy, and you'll see exactly what I mean by the time we get to character. So, with all that in mind, let's start off with the first C. C1, concept. Now, concept is the foundation of any YouTube channel. It's the answer to a really simple question. If a brand new viewer lands on this channel, what's the one sentence promise that they're going to get? Why would they hit subscribe, and why would they tune back in over the course of weeks and months? Without that concept, nothing else really works. Your titles get vague, your formats start to drift, and your audience never quite knows what they're showing up for. So this is why concept is the first thing I look at when auditing a brand channel. Now, before I get into where Airfix is at currently, here's what they're getting right. First up, they have a clear identity as a brand. They've been making scale models since 1939, they have a really established written blog called The Workbench that's well produced, and they have access to designers, factories, and over 70 years of brand archive that no creator on YouTube can really touch. So the raw material for a great YouTube channel is already sitting there. But things start to drift a bit when you start to look into the channel itself. Airfix's channel describes itself like this: "Welcome to the official Airfix YouTube channel." And that's the entire promise. And what it really tells you is just who owns the channel. It doesn't necessarily tell the viewer what's in it for you, who it's for, or why you'd come back next week. And in a wider sense, the content reflects that. There's no clear answer to the question of what this channel actually is. It's a little bit of everything, all the time, with no real rhythm and no real cadence. I want to show you the clearest possible proof of this. 2 videos published 1 day apart. Same channel, same team, and the same week. On March 21st, Airfix published The Hovercraft That Shouldn't Have Worked. This video opens with the hook: "Imagine driving your car onto a floating machine the size of a football pitch. Then instead of sailing, it lifts." And that video got 3,000 views as of the time of recording. The day before that though, they published Mary Ellis, the pilot who flew 1,000 World War II aircraft. And the video opens with, "Mary Ellis was one of Britain's most experienced ferry pilots during the Second World War." And that video got 948 views. Now, keep in mind, this is the same channel and it's the same week, One video opens by addressing you directly and pulling you into a story, and the other video sounds more like a Wikipedia paragraph being read out loud. And the first video, the hovercraft video, performed roughly 3 times better than the second. And this is the proof that Airfix already knows how to write a viewer-centric hook. They've just stopped doing it consistently across the channel. And as a result of all of this, I'm going to give the wider concept of the Airfix channel a D. There is a real foundation here. The brand has heritage, it's got the written voice in the Workbench blogs, and it has clear proof in the hovercraft video that they know how to talk to a viewer directly. The building blocks are all in place, but what pulls the grade down here is that none of it has been translated into a clear subscriber promise. And the inconsistency in voice from one video to the next is likely doing some damage to retention and discovery on their channel. So if I was looking to fix the concept of this channel first, I'd pick this one thing. Pick an audience and write a 1-sentence promise for them, and start applying the hovercraft approach to every single video opening from now on. A clear, discernible hook. And it's a habit that you build into the workflow rather than just this one-off project. So that's concept covered, and the reason it matters as a starting point is that everything else we're about to look at sits on top of it. And if you don't know what you're promising the audience, you can't deliver it consistently across your channel. So that takes us straight into the second C. C2, consistency. Consistency is the rhythm a viewer can build a habit around. That's named recurring formats, clear themes, and a reason to come back on a Tuesday or a Friday or a Sunday. This is where most brand channels really struggle, because the temptation is often to publish whatever you've got, whenever you've got it, instead of building genuine formats that start to compound over time. So what is Airfix doing right here? Well, they have the production capacity. On average, they publish around 24 long-form videos a month, plus shorts, which is pretty staggering. The Workbench podcast series has run for over 400 episodes. So the commitment to a release schedule here is pretty undeniable, and the team is clearly working very hard. But the issue is that the output is what I'd call fairly scattergun. In a single week, the viewer might see a Workbench reading, a live stream, an unboxing video, a heritage piece, a designer cameo, a shorts montage, and then 3 filler clips. And there's no connecting theme. There's no sequence to these videos. The channel is producing content at the volume of an established creator network, and yet, unfortunately, it has the coherence of a brand that hasn't yet decided what kind of channel it's actually trying to be. And the data confirms what's going on here. Tutorial content averages nearly 14,000 views across all their releases, but they make up only 5% of the total output on the channel. Heritage content tells a similar story. It averages around 5,600 views per video, but it's only 1.4% of the content. And then the Workbench podcast format. This format is the one that gets the most consistent investment in terms of releases, but unfortunately most of those average less than 1,000 views. So the takeaway here is that the strongest formats barely exist on the channel, and the most invested format in terms of the release schedule is the weakest performer. The efforts are going into the wrong places when it comes to consistency. The proof of what could be is showing up in real time though. In the 3 weeks since I ran this analysis, 2 videos have outperformed everything else on the channel. A 1-to-1 scale lightning build at around 21,000 views, and a 1961 Halifax retro unboxing at around 19,000 views. So you can see that heritage and nostalgia are doing a lot of the work in recent weeks. So for consistency, I'm going to give the Airfix channel a C. The production capacity is a real strength here, and the channel is putting out on average 24 long-form videos a month, which is more than most brand channels could ever sustain. So the engine is certainly there, but what stops it climbing higher is that none of the capacity is being channeled into named, repeatable formats that build a viewing habit for people. So if I was looking to fix consistency, I'd use January as the starting line of the year, not the finish line. The range launch is already a moment the audience anticipates, but you could turn this into a trigger for a year-long content rollout. Build 2 or 3, maybe even 4 named recurring formats, and let the production capacity flow into each of those instead of one-off uploads. Each major kit in the range launch becomes a content family with multiple videos, instead of a one-time announcement. And if you're working at Airfix and you want to see what those named formats actually look like, then the strategy document below has all 4 written up with a cadence, kit anchors, video titles, and a 12-week pilot calendar. So that's consistency covered, and the reason we move from consistency directly into craft is that once you've decided what your formats are, the next question is whether anyone can actually find them. Through search, through thumbnails, through titling, a channel without consistent formats can't really build a packaging system because there's nothing fundamentally to package. Consistency is what makes craft possible, and right now the lack of one is making the other more difficult. C3, craft. Craft is the execution layer. The titles, the thumbnails, the video descriptions, the search visibility. It's the thing that decides whether anyone actually finds your videos in the first place. For a brand channel trying to reach new audiences, craft is the real multiplier. Get it right and your reach can compound. But if you get it wrong, then you can be uploading every week with great content, but still be invisible to the people that you want to reach. And there's something genuinely good going on here. Airfix's thumbnail concepts often have strong source material to work with, and on the videos that they do invest more fully in, the bigger heritage pieces or the proper tutorials for example, the production quality is really solid. But the consistency of execution is where it starts to fall apart. Let me show you the clearest signal here. If you go to Google and search Airfix review, you get 4 video results back, and none of those 4 are directly from Airfix. For their own branded review terms, the channel is near enough invisible, and I tested 5 different search terms across Google and YouTube. Airfix appeared in the video results for just 2 of them. On YouTube itself, if you search Airfix Spitfire build, the Inner Nerd is at number 1 with his video with over 1 million views, and Airfix sits around 4th place with 112,000 views. And if you look at what people are actually searching for, the term Spitfire alone pulls in over 85,000 monthly searches on YouTube. Scale model pulls in 23,000, plastic models pulls in 9,000, and weathering pulls in 4,800. And none of these are obscure terms or keywords, but Airfix doesn't have a flagship video or a series of videos targeting any of them. The thumbnails compound the problem. I pulled up the homepage and looked at it as a viewer might, and unfortunately the thumbnails look like they come from 5 or 6 different channels. On one hand you have high quality box art next to low resolution screenshots, red gradients on some, nothing on others, and if you saw the homepage without the logo or the profile name, you wouldn't necessarily know it was from one brand. There's no clear visual system across the various formats. So for craft, I'm going to give Airfix a D. When Airfix invests in a video fully, the build quality of the video itself is genuinely very good, and the team is clearly capable of strong execution here. But none of the capability is being applied systematically or consistently. The titles aren't particularly search optimized, the thumbnails don't have a system behind them, and the channel is outcompeted on some of its own branded search terms by third-party creators with a fraction of the resources that Airfix has. So that's what holds the grade at a D. And if I was looking to fix craft, I'd start with 3 things. I would build a thumbnail system that every recurring format can share going forward. I'd then rewrite the titles using actual search data, because there's a clear list of high volume terms Airfix isn't currently ranking for. And every description should follow a single template with clear timestamps, product links, and a clear next step for the viewer. And none of this is particularly expensive or time consuming. It's maybe a couple of hours of work to get this system in place, and then a few minutes per upload to apply it. The full keyword list and search volumes, and the competitive analysis, and the 10 quickfire actions to fix this craft this quarter are in the audit document. So that's craft covered. The reason this leads directly into my next point, which is conversion, is that the craft is what brings a viewer onto a video. But once they're on the channel, once they're on the video, once they've clicked and they've watched, hopefully they've enjoyed it, what does the channel actually do with them? Where does it send them next? That's conversion. And it turns out that when Airfix's content is doing the work of pulling viewers in, the channel itself isn't doing very much with the viewer once they arrive. C4, conversion. Now, a creator channel can succeed on watch time alone, but a brand channel can't. A brand channel needs to turn that watch time that is generated by viewers into a real business outcome. A kit purchase, a membership club sign up, a newsletter sign up, or a return visit to the website. Without that, even the strongest content is essentially just a content hobby for a brand. This is the one thing I think most brand channels underestimate. They focus on getting more views, when actually the bigger lever here is converting the views they're already getting. So what's Airfix doing well here? Well, the products themselves are the conversion engine. Every video is technically linked to some kit that's currently sitting on Airfix's web shop somewhere. The path from interest to purchase is fairly short, and there's a real product, an established brand, and a price point that seems to make sense for the kits. So the structural conversion potential of this channel is high. It's set up to convert. The execution gap, however, is pretty significant. A third of Airfix's long-form videos have no links in the description at all. Over half have no timestamps, which is a real SEO miss, and nearly 500 of their shorts have completely blank descriptions. No related parent video, and no next step for the viewer. The Airfix Club membership is the single biggest miss here. Their own paid membership program, £35 in the UK I believe, is the most natural conversion lever the channel has. According to Ahrefs, the club page pulls in at least 262 organic searches a month from people actively looking for it. So these people are searching for the club with intent. And yet the club is mentioned in under 4% of long-form video descriptions across the channel. And across 100 of the most recent community tab posts, the club appears in just 4 posts. And this trend is also moving in the wrong direction. Across Airfix's last 20 long-form videos, at the time of recording, the number that include any call to action at all has dropped to 1 in 5. And historically, a few years ago, it was closer to more like 1 in 2. The CTAs themselves aren't badly written, there just increasingly isn't a CTA featured at all. So for conversion, I'm giving Airfix a D. The brand has every conversion mechanism it could possibly need already built. There's an established web shop, there's the Airfix Club, there's a newsletter, there's hobby rewards. The infrastructure is clearly there. The problem is that none of these mechanisms are being used in the videos themselves. Airfix has the conversion engine all set up, but the channel doesn't seem to be connected to it. So if I was looking to fix the conversion points today, the priority should be this. Build a detailed description template today and apply it to every video going forward. That would include product links via UTMs, timestamps, Airfix Club membership links, and other related videos. And add a clear verbal CTA at the end of every video. 10 seconds to record, it costs nothing, and it recovers measurable conversion almost overnight going forward. Of all the fixes in this video, I think this one would be the easiest to start. And just to add here, a mock description template, the call to action templates, and the conversion model showing what proper hygiene would actually deliver here are all written up in the audit and the strategy documents below. If you're watching this at Airfix, this is the one section I would probably point you to first as a quick fix. Okay, so that's conversion covered. We've now covered 4 of the 5 C's in this grading system. The first 4 are about how the channel is set up to perform, what it's promising the viewer, how it delivers on that promise, how it packages the content, and how it ultimately converts. They're all operational layers and they're all fixable with templates, systems, and habits. The 5th C is a bit different though. Character is the one of the 5 that you can't fix with a system, and it's the one that decides whether all this work is even worth doing in the first place. Because no matter how good your operations are, if there's no real audience and no story underneath, the channel doesn't really have a viable future. This last grade is the one I'd actually pay the most attention to. It's where Airfix has something that I genuinely haven't seen at this strength on any brand channel I've audited before. C5, character. Character is the thing that can't be templated, it can't be copied, and it can't be manufactured. It's whether the brand has a genuine voice, a genuine community, and content only it can make. And this is where Airfix has something genuinely very special. Their like rate on the Airfix channel is the highest of all the 7 channels I compared. The community watching this channel doesn't just watch, they actively engage. I analysed over 4,000 comments across the channel, and the sentiment runs a 6.8 positive to every 1 negative. That's a really strong number for a brand channel. Most brand channels run closer to 1 to 2 or 1 to 1, and Airfix replies to comments on around 70% of their top videos, so there's a real two-way relationship happening in the comments. And what surprised me was that the audience wasn't just engaged, they're being explicit about what they want to see. I went through the comments looking for content requests, and 4 formats came up repeatedly, each one backed with significant agreement from the wider community. Designer interviews, factory access, beginner guidance, and nostalgia. Specifically deep dives into the archive and the kits that people built as children. And what makes this so significant is that all 4 are formats that no other creator can replicate. No creator can sit down with the kit designers and walk through the factory floor, or pull up 70 years of internal brand archive. These are formats that only Airfix can make, and the audience is literally handing over the content brief. The formats on the channel just need to catch up. And there's external proof of this demand too. A creator channel filmed a factory tour at Airfix's own production site 3 years ago, and that video pulled close to 1 million views. 1 million people watching a factory tour. The appetite here is proven. The brand has access that no other creator channel does. So for character, I'm giving this a B. What's underneath this channel, the actual character of the brand and its community, is the strongest of any brand channel I've audited in this niche. The like rate, the comment sentiment, the audience explicitness, all of it tells me there's a real brand here with a real audience and a real story to tell. The grade isn't higher only because the channel isn't yet acting on these audience signals. The community is clear about what it wants, and the formats it's asking for don't really exist yet. as recurring fixtures on the channel. So if I was looking to further develop the character aspect, the recommendation is direct. Take the 4 things the audience is explicitly asking for and turn them into 4 named recurring formats. Kit tutorials and build guides for beginners, search-focused kit videos for the buyers searching for specific aircraft, behind the scenes and designer interviews for the people asking to meet the team, and the heritage documentaries for the archive and the nostalgia aspect. And none of these need a budget increase, they just need a reallocation of the existing production capacity from where it's going currently to where the audience is asking for it to go in the future. And each of these 4 formats has a full page in the strategy document, with the kits each one would feature and the search terms and titles each video targets, as well as the cadence that we'd suggest running them at. Here's the full scorecard for Airfix. Concept gets a D, consistency C, craft D, conversion D, and character B. So that's 3 Ds, a C, and a B. And I know that looks a little bit rough on the surface, but I want to be really clear about what this scorecard is actually telling us. The 3 Ds are all execution problems, not strategy problems, not budget problems, and not necessarily skill problems. The team can clearly write because the hovercraft video proves it, and the team can clearly produce because the longer heritage pieces also prove that. And the Airfix team seems to have access to everything they need to make exceptional content. The factory, the designers, the archive, the community. What's missing is the consistency and a clear strategic direction across the channel. The C for consistency tells you the engine is there, the capacity that they have in-house is real, and the team is committed and has an appetite to publish. The B in character is the thing I'd be most excited about. The B is the part that can't be bought, it can't be templated, and it can't be fast-tracked. The audience Airfix has is real, the community is real, and the brand archive is very much real. The audience is explicitly asking for the content that only Airfix can make. So if I was sitting in a strategy meeting and collaborating with the Airfix team, here's what I'd actually suggest that they build. Those 4 formats I just named, running on a fixed cadence, roughly 12 videos a month across all 4 formats, instead of an average of 24 videos a month. Half the upload volume, but every single one of them is tuned and anchored to a specific kit page and a specific search term, connected to a product page, the Airfix Club, or hobby rewards. The goal is to publish less, but to build a library of evergreen content that earns views for years rather than launch day spikes that die off within a few months. And the maths on this is conservative. At industry standard click-through rates of around 3%, 12 focused videos a month with proper descriptions and CTAs could route around 3,600 monthly clicks to Airfix's commercial pages. The current channel is likely doing closer to 200. That's a 17 times improvement on commercial output from half the upload volume. So if you're sitting at Airfix watching this, and I genuinely do hope someone there is, here's what I'd say to you. The channel is just underapplied. You've already built and established the hardest part. The rest is just systems, rhythm, and a clear point of view across every video you put out. If you want the full pack for this video, the channel audit, the content strategy, and the 4 format breakdowns, as well as the initial content strategy calendar, it's all linked in the description for you. And if you're from Airfix or Hornby and you've watched this video all the way through, firstly, thank you very much, but please do feel free to reach out. This whole video and the audit comes from a real affection for the brand, and we'd love to actually help in any way possible. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments which brand you'd like us to see audit next, and I'll see you in the next one.